Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Following the biggest offseason of moves and acquisitions by General Manager Howie Roseman, the expectations of this city have never been higher. Welcome to the 2022 Pond Lehocky Postgame Show on 6abc.com and across the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel, exclusively presented by Pond Lehocky Giordano. Live from the Gallery Bar, booking games inside Ocean Casino Resort. Let's get this post-game show underway. EAGLES, Eagles.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and this is the Pond Lehocky Eagles post-game show. And let me get right to it. I'm Mike Missinelli, where you have Seth Joyner and Derek Gunn. This was not a team that was prepared to play today. This was a quarterback who looked like he had no idea how to play today. This was an offensive coaching staff that looked like they had no game plan whatsoever, no idea what they were supposed to do against an inferior team like the New Orleans Saints. And so now what has to happen is Jalen Hurts has to play next week against the New York Giants for them to get that one win and get the number one seed. And all of a sudden a season that looked like it was just an afterthought. They were going to get the number one seed and relax. Now it has to go down to the final game of the year, guys, in a pressure-filled situation to try to get a win to get that bye and the number one seed. I was flabbergasted at their effort today, and I know you guys were as well.
Well, Seth, what did I tell you on the pregame show, you and Mark Farzetta? Do not underestimate this Saints defense, number one. And Marshawn Lattimore, Pro Bowl cornerback, one of the best corners in the game, who had not played since October 9th because of an abdomen injury. He makes a world of a difference on the back end of that defense in terms of how they scheme things up. And lo and behold, you know, all these people talking about how this should be an easy game. Well, the Saints have a lot to play for as well. As bad as this season has been, they're not going to just come in here and roll over. But I am shocked at how this Saints team was able to hold the Eagles to 10 points. I am shocked at the Eagles' offensive game plan coming into this game. I am shocked that they only ran the ball 2 times the entire first half. Seth, what are they thinking? Who's calling the plays here? What in the world's going on with this team?
This is the same situation that I've been talking about all season long. All you had to do was look statistically at who the Saints were from a defensive perspective to understand how it is your game plan should have been set up and how you could attack this defense, okay? The Saints are ranked number 2 in the NFL coming into this game defensively against the pass, okay, without Marshawn Lattimore for the last 2 months, okay? You get Marshawn Lattimore back this week. The Saints are ranked 23rd against the rush in the National Football League, and we come out and we only run the ball. You're going to tell me 2 times for 9 yards in the first half to Miles Sanders, 1,000 yards rusher? Didn't we just have this damn conversation with Nick Sirianni like 2-3 weeks ago where they wouldn't run the ball and they came out and he said, yeah, I probably should have ran it more? Yep. Okay, all you got to do is look at the statistics to understand what you should have done. Listen, I don't blame Gardner Minshew. I don't. I really don't. As bad as he played, I don't blame Gardner Minshew for what we just witnessed. You want to know who I blame? I blame Nick Sirianni and I blame Shane Steichen for putting him in a position to fail. Now, why? Why would I say that? Okay. You know that he doesn't have the mobility to move around. That's the first thing. He can't make plays with his feet when things go to hell in the handbasket like Jalen Hurts. Okay. When they came out in the second half, they came out run. And when they wanted to pass, they went play action pass. And then Gardner was efficient. So why not continue to do that? Why was that not the game plan? Did you fall in love with the 355 yards that he amassed in a loss last year? I mean, again, I don't even blame Gardner Minshew. Yeah, he played like crap today. But I blame Nick Sirianni and I blame Shane Steichen for putting him in a position to cause what you just saw today, because that's not who he is. That's not the type of quarterback that he is. Defensively, what the hell are we doing on defense? What in the world are we calling? You know that Andy Dalton wants to get the ball out of his hands quick. So whether you're in man or whether you're in zone, you can't play off the ball in third and short situations and think he's not going to take what's there. Now, the defensive line, again, played his behind off. The issue is on the back end. What kind of coverage are we going to play? When you're playing zone and you got guys that's just dropping the landmarks and looking at the quarterback when you got people running behind them, listen, this is going to be one of those days, okay? I've been calm all damn year. Why? Because the Eagles been winning all damn year, okay? Not today. Not today. I'm going in on every damn body today. Everybody.
Yeah, all right. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you heard what I said at the start. I've been having all kinds of microphone.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'm going to sit there and blame him. He's a professional quarterback who was competent enough last week, and I know the game plan sucked today. He didn't play like he knew at the position at all, like he knew what he was doing at all. And the New Orleans Saints even let him off the hook early in the first half when they made a stupid decision to kick a field goal, 4th and 2. And then a little later, when Dalton got greedy and got intercepted, they gave them every opportunity to come back in this game. The quarterback couldn't make any plays, and their offensive game plan was a disgrace. And those coaches have to take the brunt of the criticism for that, because they didn't orchestrate anything. This team was not prepared to play, which is beyond belief to me, when they need one win at home against the Saints. And again, I know every NFL team can beat you on any given time. I get it. The Saints should not have come in here and won that game. They presented nothing of action. Even in the second half, they were begging to be beaten. They kept giving the ball up, punting, giving it back to the Eagles, and they couldn't take advantage of it at all. And a lot of it was because the quarterback stunk today, Seth. So I'm not going to let him off the hook at all.
And listen, I'm not going to go so far as to say I said he played horrible. I said he stunk, Mike. Okay? But listen,
you say he stunk.
The quarterback,
you're going to blame him.
The quarterback can only execute to the level of what it's like chess. Okay? I can have great pieces in front of me. I can have wooden pieces. I can have marble pieces. It don't make a damn difference, Mike, what those pieces are or what they're made of if I, the chess player, can't strategize properly. If I can't put the players in a position as a head coach and an offensive coordinator to succeed, and you know who Gardner Minshew is. You had him on this team for the last 2 years. You know who and what he is. He is not a guy to stand back there and throw the ball 50 times a game. He is a run-first guy. You run the ball. You're one of the best running offenses in the NFL. You run the ball and you go play action pass again.
I get that. I get all that. He was an incompetent player today. He played like he'd never played the position before.
He played that way because they put him in a position to do something. They ask him to do something that he's not able to do. He can't stand back there and throw the ball every down.
So everybody says he's a starting quarterback in this league.
No,
he's one of the top 32 quarterbacks in this league. That's what people say.
He'd be on somebody's roster.
No.
He'd be on somebody else's roster and not the back.
But everybody says he should be starting for some team with all the lousy quarterbacks in this league. He was terrible today.
Who, Mike?
This was a Saints defense that was giving up 132 yards a game on the ground. What do? The lounge chair quarterback knows you come out and smash them in the mouth between the tackles. Your 1,000-yard running back had 2 carries the entire first half. The first 2 plays, they come out passing. Oh, by the way, did the Eagles forget that this Saints defense has 40 sacks coming in this game? First 2 plays, your quarterback gets sacked.
Eric, I get it. It was
They put him in an uncomfortable position.
The coaches really have to be blamed for this. But I'm not going to take the quarterback off the hook.
No, he played like he shouldn't even be in the league today. Exactly how he played.
That's why I said, D-Gun, I wanted to know, who is it that said that he's a top 32 quarterback?
You never heard me say that. You never heard me say that.
Based upon the 350 yards they got against the Cowboys last week?
Many people were saying that there aren't 32 quarterbacks better than Minshew in this league. And last week, that was obviously embellished. Today, he didn't look like he knew how to play at all.
I get that, Mike. And listen, I agree with you wholeheartedly. This is the problem with, these supposed football gurus, who make these assertions. Oh, he's a top 32. BS, okay? Because if he was a top 32 quarterback, he wouldn't be languishing behind, Jalen Hurts on the bench somewhere. He wouldn't have came here, under the auspices of potentially, competing for a starting job and wound up where he was. He's not that good. If he was that damn good, he'd be starting on somebody's team. Now, let's deal with the reality of this, okay? A guy like him and Andy Dalton are probably on the same level. Andy Dalton, to D-Gun's point, hey, listen, the dude can have one of those days at any time. He had one of those days today. But I seen Andy Dalton play the way that Gardner Minshew played today before.
What day did he have today? What did he do that was so special?
He did enough to help them win.
He did enough in the first half. His only incompletion the entire first half was a pick.
16. He scored 13 points.
Okay, he scored 13. No, what I'm saying is
points. I mean, he didn't do anything that was that special. If you score 20 points, you win this game. It was the Eagles' offense. It wasn't what Andy Dalton did to him. Their defense in the second half completely bottled him up, and they needed a pick six to get out of there.
Do not allow this defense off the hook in that first
Gardner
30 minutes.
If Gardner Minshew had played the way that Andy Dalton played today, okay, and the Eagles ran the ball with any kind of consistency, the Eagles would have won this game. Yes. So it's not so much what Andy Dalton did, it's what he didn't do. It's the mistakes that he didn't make.
He threw a bad interception.
Andy Dalton didn't go 3 and out the first 4 possessions. Andy Dalton didn't go 3 and out the first 4 possessions of the game. You know what Andy Dalton did? Okay, they went 15 plays, okay, with a Taysom Hill touchdown. They punted the next series, okay? Then they came back and they had 2 field goals by Lutz on 7 and 5 play drives. So what did Gardner Minshew do? Gardner Minshew went punt. And that was the whole first half.
Okay, so we had
5 punts, and went to the half.
We had stink and a little better than stink. He scored 13 points today. You're telling me the Eagles could not outscore the Saints today? It wasn't what Andy Dalton did. He gave him an opportunity with that horrible interception.
Which quarterback
Every
won?
Opportunity the Saints get, they gave the ball back to the Eagles consistently in the second half.
They didn't won, Mike. Which quarterback won the game?
So, Mike, I can tell you this. The Eagles did not outscore the Saints today. I can tell you that. So, where does the problem lie? Where does the problem lie? This is an all-encompassed screw-up job by the Eagles. The defense was asleep the entire first half. The offense and the offensive play calling was atrocious the entire game. Everybody takes some blame. And then the kid, the punter, he shanked 126 yards at one point and gave him good field.
Eric, I am not disagreeing with you. I am saying that this Eagle offensive coaching staff has to take a deep look at themselves for what they put out. They put slop out there. It looked like they didn't put any effort at it. It looked like to me they spent so much damn time trying to okey-doke New Orleans and they're thinking Hurts was going to play that they didn't formulate a game plan where Minshew could win the game. And it's disgraceful at this point because look where you are now. Now they've got to play Jalen Hurts whether he's ready or not, and they've got to play him against a team that is fighting for a better seed. And I don't know what's going to happen in that game next week, but you're putting your team in a precarious position to have to win a game with a quarterback who might not be ready to play.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for subtly agreeing with me, Mike. They put Gardner Minshew in a position to fail, is what they did. Mm-hmm. That is what they did today with the game plan that they implemented, plain and simple.
Yeah, but it's the same token, I'm not taking him off the hook like you are.
Oh, I'm not taking him off the hook. I'm putting the majority of the blame over on the coaching staff for putting him in that position. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
We're on the same page.
I'm not saying that he didn't play bad.
Sirianni and Steichen came up with this. It's just disgraceful. That was they didn't look like. Did they look like the best team in the NFC today?
No,
they didn't. And now it's starting to worry me because now their turnover differential is now getting ahead of the game where they pasted everybody and they were ahead of them in turnover differential. Now they look like a little bit of an insecure team over that.
This is the third consecutive game they do not win the turnover battle after they won the turnover battle every time this season. So they now have turned the ball over 8 times in the last 3 games.
Yes.
8 times in the last 3 games. They got lucky to get out of Chicago with that win. If Chicago had a little bit more firepower, they would have lost that game in Chicago. They should have lost that game in Chicago. Okay? So you look at where this team is right now. First of all, every team is going through the injuries right now. The Eagles were lucky to be unscathed for the most part up until about 3 games ago. Now it's finally catching up with them. Your Pro Bowl right tackle's gone. One of the best slot corners in the game is gone. Your franchise quarterback has missed the last 2 games. And oh, by the way, what are they now? 0-2 in those 2 games. And I said before that Dallas game, it's imperative that they lock up this number 1 seed. I did not want to see it come down to the Jalen Hurts having to play that Giants game because it's a division game. It's a meaningful game. And as you know, Seth will tell you, when you play one of these division games, that's when things go really bad and somebody gets hurt because you're scrapping tooth and nail. And oh, by the way, the Giants still remember how the Eagles embarrassed them just a few weeks ago. So that's an even more dangerous situation. Yes, it is.
It's the worst situation they could have put themselves in here. And this was the game where you really got to knock it down. You got to concentrate to win this game. And that means your whole coaching staff has to be dedicated and devoted to coming up with a foolproof game plan that beats a team that you're better than. And they let this team come in there and do that. And the quarterback, I mean, listen. Okay, I get the game plan wasn't bad. You can't throw that pick 6 to Lattimore in that position. You can't not convert the quarterback sneak when they've done it 26 times in a row at midfield.
Yes.
I mean, these are fundamental errors that a professional quarterback should not make.
Well, not only that, but I said on the pregame show, when I knew that Jack Driscoll was playing, he is a much better run blocker than he is a pass blocker. And what do? They put Jordan Cameron on his side all day because Jordan Cameron, even though his sack totals don't show it, is one of the best edge rushers still in the game today. And sure enough, Jack Driscoll got abused. Now, I expect to see much more changes on that line next week. You might see Malott on the right side and Dillard on the left side. You hate to have that many people moving around and disrupt the continuity, but you cannot have Jack Driscoll. If you're going to play this kind of offensive scheme, you cannot have Jack Driscoll on that right side. He cannot pass block. He's not an efficient pass blocker. And that was another big problem they had today. You came out of the gate, played right into the Saints' hands when you knew that the guy on the right side was not a pass blocker. And how simple can it be? Sometimes you're so smart, you show how dumb you are, okay? You can outsmart yourself too many times. This team outsmarted itself today, basically.
Listen, Seth, I saw your tweets early, and you're absolutely right. The defensive backs didn't challenge their wide receivers. So Dalton was throwing those little piddly short passes, and they were converting 3rd downs because they were all manageable 3rd downs. They were 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, whatever. The game plan was, we'll run the ball, we'll chop a little bit out, we'll get a 3rd and 3, we'll convert. That's what they did the whole game, and the Eagles' defense in the first half let them do that. But then in the second half, they adjusted. The Saints didn't look like a team that was going to threaten them offensively. No. And at that point, your offense, now with a half that you've digested and kind of just like thrown out the window, all of a sudden now you have the responsibility to figure out what the hell is going on. And they get the 1 touchdown to A.J. Brown on which the cornerback made a bad play, and he turned it into a great play. I can't believe what I saw out there. Their offense was incompetent.
They are. I mean, listen, this gives legitimacy, in my opinion, to the assertion that, Chris Sims said that Jalen Hurts is a system quarterback. I would push back and say vehemently that Jalen Hurts is the damn system. That's the first thing, okay? He is the system that makes this offense work, okay? And if there's any validity for the fact that Jalen Hurts was a legitimate MVP candidate before the injury, this is it. Because with Jalen Hurts as the quarterback for this team, this football team, the Eagles don't lose 2 games in a row like this. The Eagles don't lose to the Saints. The Eagles don't turn the ball over 4 times, last week, and then turn around and turn it over, throw 2 more interceptions, today. They don't do that. I'm sorry. They just don't. So, I mean, but then again, you can't set your offense up and run your offense the same way for Gardner Minshew as you would for Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts is going to rescue you. Where Gardner Minshew, if the first read isn't there, the panic sets in. I felt last week, and I said it in my show, and I said it on Twitter, he looked skittish. He looked nervous in the pocket. The minute you take his first read away, he doesn't just go through his progression. Now he's starting to panic and trying to find his escape route. And for a guy that doesn't run, all of a sudden, now that panic turns into, he's frenetic in the pocket. And that's when bad things happen, is when you kind of create that pressure on quarterbacks where you're speeding up their clock and you're putting them in an element and you're putting them in an environment that makes them uncomfortable. Well, part of what made him uncomfortable is the fact that they asked him to throw the ball as often as they asked him to throw the ball in the first half. Okay? You have to run the football with your backup quarterback. It's no different than having a young quarterback who doesn't understand, is still trying to learn the offense. You run the football, first of all, and then you go play action pass off of it. And when you go play action pass off of it, now you're going to find that hole, that ball that Dallas Goedert caught, that first pass in the second half. Now you're going to find that hole. You want to know why that hole was there? Because the Eagles established the run.
Yeah, and they did that.
The linebackers were up in the line.
Exactly. And so as they start the second half, they do establish the run.
Yes.
And I thought on that first drive, all right, it was a bad call. Gainwell had the touchdown. It was a bad hold on Dickerson. Bad call. But they only get 3 out of that possession. And I'm thinking, okay, you've adjusted. You figured it out what's going on. You only get 3 out of that possession. You can't score a touchdown. And it's 13-3. And there was another play, and I forget where it was in the game. They had a 3rd and 4, and Mitchell throws a deep out. Like, you've got a tight end who is perfect for that kind of situation. They throw a deep out on that play. Now, where does that call come from? What were these guys doing today with the chart? I don't get it.
I think the biggest deficiency for this Eagles team is, and Seth, you mentioned this on the pregame show, and I chuckled and said, don't expect this. On the pregame show, Mike, Seth said he had hoped that Eagles secondary will come up and play more press coverage. And I said, don't count on this, Seth. I expect them to fully see 5 to 7 yards off the ball. What do we see? Them 5 to 7 yards off the ball. Yeah. What did the Eagles do? They allow the Saints to have wide open spaces all over the field. All over the field. You have Pro Bowl players across the board. And this is how you scheme?
They did that in the first half, D.
Trenches?
Absolutely did that in the first half. In the second, it was a different story. And like I say, and I think you guys will agree, when your defense stops them, they didn't look like they were capable of scoring at all in the second half, the Saints.
No.
So that is where your offense really has to grind them apart because you're the better offense. And I don't care if Minshew is playing. You got 2 great wide receivers and a tight end that you should be able to utilize in that situation. And I don't get what happened. I just don't get it. It was like they didn't believe they had any players out there to utilize.
The Saints defense made Minshew hold the ball because they played press coverage most of the game. They basically said, we're not afraid of Minshew turning up the field and running the football. And so what did? They stacked the line of scrimmage just like Dallas did, just like Chicago did, and they went press coverage on the Eagles wide receivers. And there was a huge difference in the game because Minshew was hesitant in making decisions. Occasionally, he found Goddard here. He found A.J. Brown in the fluke deep ball for 78 yards and a touchdown. I was hoping they'd throw the ball deep a lot more. What the heck you got Quez Watkins out there in the field for? He's one of the fastest players in the league. You don't even take a shot to him deep. You went deep to A.J. Brown, which was a fluke. When the DB stumbled, he's wide open, catches a touchdown. But you got enough speed to take more shots down the field. You don't even take the shots down the field? Are you kidding me?
Here was the telltale drive, because the turning point really should have been when A.J. Brown makes that play. That should give you enough momentum. To say nothing of the fact that they stop New Orleans on the next drive when Brandon Graham gets the big sack. So now they get the ball, and they finally get the ball to the tight end. They get it to Goddard. And then in the flat, the Boston's got for 23 yards. So they're off to a great start in that drive, right? Right? And they don't get anything out of it. 3rd and long, they don't connect, and they have to punt the football. I don't understand this. Today, I saw something that I haven't seen all year. When they needed to dip in the well to give something to win a game, they didn't have the answer. I'm not used to seeing that because they've had the answer almost in every game this year.
Yeah, you're used to seeing Jalen Hurts be able to do that.
I get it.
You're not used to seeing, Gardner Minshew, the backup, being able to do that.
He did it last week.
Say it again?
He did it last week.
No, he didn't. They lost last week.
2 weeks ago. No. Well, no, he played well last week is what I'm saying. He played well.
Statistically, he played. Statistically,
he looked like a quarterback
well.
At least
Listen,
in that game.
Gardner Minshew, if he's on the field, okay, D-Gun, to your point, people say that, all Seth wants to do is blitz. All Seth wants to do is blitz. No. Understand. As a quarterback, it's harder for you to throw the ball against man coverage and press coverage than it is when guys are off and you can run these combination routes and you can hit holes in the zone. You want to know why? Because if everybody's jamming at the same time, and if guys don't get to the number that they're supposed to get to, now the quarterback's rhythm is completely off. The New Orleans Saints knew that Gardner Minshew was a rhythm guy. He wants to throw the ball on time. He's going to throw the ball on rhythm. That's what got his ass in trouble on the pick 6, okay? He made up his mind he was going to look left to the 4 receiver side and come back and throw the slant, okay? He didn't pay attention to coverage. The coverage dictated that, you know what? If I got a double high safety and that safety's sitting right there, then guess what? Marshawn Lattimore can play overly aggressive in this situation. So the one thing I can't do is I can't just throw this ball on a rhythm and timing type of deal because he's going to jump it, okay? Why you tell me that a veteran in the NFL is unaware of that he was so unaware of that situation? No, don't put him in that situation, coaching staff. Don't put him in a situation where you know that everything that he does is timing because he wants to get the ball out of his hands because he's nervous as hell, okay? Put him in a situation, where you can get your playmakers the ball and you don't have to worry about him making a mistake. But everybody knows, get up, jam the wide receivers, cause some kind of indecision on him, and he'll make mistakes. Well, guess what? Jalen Hurts ain't making them damn mistakes. That's why he's the starter, and that's why he's the most valuable player to this football team. I don't know what you think about everywhere else, but he's the most valuable player to this football team because this football team is not losing back-to-back games under Jalen Hurts' watch. He ain't going to let it happen. Gardner Minshew don't have that inside of him to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm. I'm not disagreeing with you. He didn't look like an NFL quarterback today. That's all I'm saying. And you're right about their press coverage. So as a coaching staff, then it's your responsibility to scheme something else up that will make him look better than he's looking. And they had all game to do that, and they didn't do it.
You know what all they had to do? Run the football. Yeah. You didn't run the football. If you knew the first couple of series he wasn't comfortable in whatever offensive design you had for this game today, you go to your bread and butter. Run that football. That's exactly what they did in the second half coming out of the gate. They ran the football. Why did you not do that? Try to establish the run in the first half. Why?
It's malpractice.
That's a huge exactly.
It's malpractice by the coaching staff.
D-Gun, you want to know what it is?
They did the same crap against Chicago. You run the ball against Chicago. They didn't do it. Same thing against Dallas. You run the football. They didn't do it. 3 games in a row, they didn't establish the run when they're one of the best running teams in the National Football League.
You want to know why?
You play right into the opposition's hand.
Let me tell you why. Because this is this new mindset in the NFL, this new analytical mindset. Okay. Oh, you got to throw the ball in order to win in today's NFL. No, the hell you don't.
No, you don't.
No, the hell you don't. Because the team that normally wins in the NFL is the team that controls the line of scrimmage. Whether you're running the football or whether you dominate it through pass blocking, the team that dominates the line of scrimmage is the team that's going to win the game. Okay. But this new mindset, this new thought that, you got to throw the ball to win. So you come out early and you throw the ball all over the map and you get a lead. And then once you get a lead, then you run the ball in 4-minute offense. And that's what balances your running pass. Okay. Well, so tell me, what the hell happens when you come out on a day like today and your quarterback he's not completing the damn football? You can't make a first down. Do you guys realize that the Eagles went 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and then 5 plays for 40 yards in the half, the clock ran out.
Yeah,
your
first down was the pass to Goddard with 18 seconds left.
Wait a minute. That's exactly what they looked like in the first half, okay? So that theory proved itself wrong after the second series. Stop throwing the damn football and run the damn football and give your quarterback a chance to be successful. Because not all games are created the same. D-Gun, you want to know why they're doing it? Because that's the mindset of these new age coaches now, is that we're going to throw the ball early and we're going to get a lead. And then once we got a lead, then we're going to run the ball late. But what happens when the passing game ain't working? Do you have the wherewithal to make a switch in your mentality right now and go to running the ball? And instead, you got one of the best offensive lines in the league. Run the damn football. That'll give you the pass that you want.
All right, we're going to take a break. There's so much to digest and dissect.
Yeah, I need a break. I need to go fill my water bottle because I'm just getting started.
Nick Sirianni's got a lot of explaining to do. Hopefully, we'll have John McMullen a little later to explain how he explained this. And we're going to talk about some injuries because there was a terrible injury early in this game that may affect them. And now you got Lane Johnson out. Driscoll didn't play well today. So let's take a breath. This is the Lehocky Eagles post-game show. I'm Mike Missinelli with Seth Joyner and Derek Gunn. Deb McKinney not joining us today. She's covering the Mummers, which reminds me, Happy New Year to everybody. If there can be a Happy New Year's Day today after the Eagles lose 20-10 to the New Orleans Saints. Unbelievable. We're back after this.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your world. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
Philadelphia fans, were cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our winter watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for a December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Rams starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
Well, welcome back to the Lehocky Eagles postgame show as the Eagles lose today to the New Orleans Saints at home. Normally, this is a segment where we bring in Lane Johnson. Of course, Lane is hurt, and that's the topic that we're going to have to discuss a little later in the show. But it's also this segment brought to us by our good friends at DryTac Waterproofing. It did rain a hell of a lot over the last couple of days. If it rained and your basement needs waterproofing, you call the great people at DryTac Waterproofing. Make 2023 the year you get rid of that dampness in your basement with DryTac Waterproofing. Proud partners of the postgame show and of the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, so let's I want to go over some things in the first half here that plays right into your point, Seth and Derek, about how they started this game. So the New Orleans Saints had a really simple game plan, but the Eagles, I think, knew they had to run the football for them to be involved in the game. The first play they run is a play action completion. So very interesting. They use play action, they get the completion, and then on that drive they convert 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 1. They get to the Eagles 19. That's where Sweat gets hurt, and then all of a sudden they stuff Taysom Hill on a 3rd and 3, and the Saints go for it, and he gets into the end zone 7-0. The Eagles' first drive, they run the same play action play. And he gets sacked. He gets sacked on a play action play, and then he gets chased out of the pocket on the second play. So the first two plays of the game are pass designs that don't work, forcing them into a 3rd and 17, and they go 3 and out, and that would be the pattern for the entire first half. Explain it.
Well, it's very simple. It's very simple in terms of the Eagles play soft coverage and allow them to catch all his underneath stuff. Okay, the Saints played man-to-man, forcing Minshew to pat the ball, which led to the sack and him rolling out of bounds and taking the loss as well. It's very simple. For the life of me, I just don't understand why Jonathan Gannon continues to play this soft coverage when you have Pro Bowlers on both corners. You have the luxury of having Pro Bowlers on both corners, and you want to play them 5 and 7 yards off the ball because you want to keep everything in front of you. Well, guess what happened? Because you kept everything in front of you, you allowed them to work their way down the field until they walked it in the end zone. It's embarrassing for a mediocre offense like the Saints to come out of the gate on the road in your backyard and put together a 15-play, 75-yard drive and chew up the first 8 minutes and 58 seconds on the clock in your backyard. And you know what they're going to do. The Wildcat is an integral part of the offense. On that first drive, they ran the Wildcats 6 times. 6 times. You know they're going to run it, and you still couldn't stop them. You still couldn't stop them.
Taysom Hill, by the way. All right, so now we go into the second half, and the Eagles finally get the Saints to punt. So they get a 3rd and 6, and they got Brandon Graham, who played well today, gets another sack. And they're at their own 10, but it's another 3 and out, which gives New Orleans really good field position to go up 10-0 on the long field goal by Will Lutz. But to me, the next time, I thought that the Saints really played into the Eagles' hands when they were afraid to try to punch it in again a little later in that quarter, and on a 4th and 2. And they settle for the field goal. And I go, okay, this is a team that is unsure of itself, very insecure team. They're now playing not to lose instead of to win the game.
Exactly.
And I thought the whole complexion of the game was going to change off of that, and it didn't.
To be honest,
I actually agreed. I agree with you. Take the points.
Yeah,
I mean, when you're the Saints, come on, man. When you're the Saints and you're playing at the level that you've been playing, you take the points, okay?
What good is a 13-0 lead against an offense?
You take the points. You want to know why? Because the Eagles' offense hadn't proven one iota that they could do anything. So why would you leave points off the board?
Did you actually think you were going to keep the Eagles off the board the whole game?
I didn't.
I didn't either.
They did.
Well,
they scored 10
they played
points.
scared in that situation.
No. Listen, if your defense is playing at the level that they're playing at, okay, everybody wants to talk about complementary football and how you help, each other out offensively, defensively, and special teams wise, okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you got the Philadelphia Eagles offense under wraps and you have an opportunity to go up 13 rather than 10, how deflating would it have been for your football team to now turn around and come out after halftime and only be up by 3 points, instead of still by 6, because you made the dumb decision to go for, 7 instead of the obvious 3 that's right there. And your opponent's offense hasn't even done anything. Your opponent's offense only had 1 first down in this.
Seth, listen, if I'm the Saints,
why would you do that?
If I'm the Saints and I'm playing the Philadelphia Eagles, and I know the Eagles are a team that's just ready to bust out, I'm not taking 3 there. 17-0 is a hell of a lot better than 13-0. But it worked for them. They wound up not scoring another point until that pick 6. They drug along this team with 13 points against the Eagles. That held up. Now, I know Minshew's the quarterback. I know the game plan. By accident, the Eagles should score in the 20s against that team. But listen, it didn't happen. So what do you want? What do you want from me?
You say what you want to say about the Saints, but as I told Seth and Mark Farzetta in the pregame show, the Saints have been one of the most inconsistent teams in the NFL this year, one of the biggest shockers for a negative reason. But their defense has kept them in just about every game. There's a reason why that Saints defense is only giving up like 21 points a game. They play their hearts out, okay? Their whole heartbeat is based on that defense. The offense has been a major problem for the Saints all year. They can't settle on a quarterback. Most of their weapons have been out. Michael Thomas has been out. Jarvis Landry has been out. They have been one-dimensional all year. Taysom Hill, Chris Olave, who, by the way, was coming off a major hamstring injury, he torched him in the first half, okay? So you have to play to your strength. Get what you can against a formidable Eagles defense in their backyard, hostile environment, and let our defense try to help us out as much as we can. That's exactly what happened for the Saints team. They had to rely on their defense. The defense is the strength of that team. And on top of that, as we said a moment ago, you could tell as the game unfolded, they were not worried about Gardner Minshew and the RPOs trying to take off and run. They focused on everything else, matching up against the Eagles wide receivers and doing enough to clog up the middle of the defense so Miles Sanders couldn't kill them. And it worked for them like a charm today.
Okay. The Saints in this game, I thought, are begging to be beaten. I just pointed out they took the field goal. Okay, you don't agree with that. They got the points on the board set. That's fine and dandy. And Dalton gets greedy and he throws that pick a little later. They gave them every opportunity to take control of this game, and the Eagles could not take control of the game. And that's the point I can't get past, because I thought this team, we have followed this team all year, and we had a certain reliability with them, that they're not going to fall like this to this kind of a team. They had assumed this kind of an identity that we didn't think that could happen. So now that this has happened, what does this mean coming down the stretch? Are they now feeling a little bit insecure about themselves? Because they had a swagger early about how good they were. Where's the swagger now?
Well, the difference in the swagger is basically what you see in the guy who's standing behind center. Okay. When you got a guy like Jalen Hurts who believes that, I can either, will my team to win by what I do, or I can get it to my playmakers and they can help us win. One way or the other, we're going to get it done. Okay. You saw in the Colts game, the offense tried everything that it could try. And in the fourth quarter, Jalen Hurts basically said, hey, everything that the coaches tried didn't work. Time for me to just take it over and go win the game. It's exactly what he went and did. Okay. Come on, man. At the end of the day, Gardner Minshew ain't that dude. He's not that dude, man. And he's not a starting quarterback in the National Football League. I don't care what those gurus out there say or what they think. He doesn't have the moxie. He doesn't have the even keeledness. He doesn't have the calmness to stand in the pocket under pressure. See, most people didn't pay attention to it last week, but most of his passes, he was backing up while he was throwing them because he's afraid to step in. One of the reasons why he sails so many balls is because he doesn't step into his throws. He just lets them go. You understand what I'm saying? So you ask what's the difference? Yeah, the team should be shaking a little bit after losing 2 in a row. But I think when number 1 steps in at quarterback next week, okay, and I guarantee you, they kept showing Jalen throughout the entire game. And I understand. I get it. I'm all for protecting the long-term viability of your potentially of your franchise quarterback, okay? But I would have played Jalen this week, gotten the win, and then rested him next week in the first round. I would have done it that way. I would have done it that way. Just put Jalen, be smart about it, okay? Because listen, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, okay? So I don't know how severe this injury actually was, okay? But when you play a third of the third quarter in the entire fourth quarter, and the fourth quarter is the best quarter that you play, and you got the shoulder injury, okay? I'm trying to figure out how bad it was. So now you're being overly cautious. Now I see Jalen Hurts running around at practice, and he's throwing the ball around at practice, okay? If you're able to do that, why not play him? Get the win, and then you talk to him about being smart, okay? Got to protect the shoulder. Got to do the right things, okay? Throw it away. Take the sack. Don't take any big hits, okay? You put those kind of seeds in his head. But listen, Gardner Minshew could not win this football game for this football team today, not the way the game was called, okay? And I know that people don't agree with my assertion about what they should have done with Jalen Hurts, but now think about the pressure situation.
Well, yeah, hold on to that thought. Hold on to that thought. That's going to be our diamond debate, and we're going to talk more about the Hurts situation. But let's look at the second half and what they got some momentum by kicking the field goal. Now, I would have liked to have seen a touchdown there, but at 13-3, what were you thinking? They finally had committed to a little bit of the run, and at 13-3, did you not expect that the Eagles were then going to get the offense rolling and win this game going away?
Absolutely. And I tweeted out when it got to 13-10, I said, Eagles have them right where they want them, because you could tell the Saints were playing not to win or not to lose, so to speak.
Yes.
I thought there was no question beyond a shadow of a doubt the Eagles were going to get enough points to win this game, because the Saints basically is settled on the defense winning this game for them. And they continue to shoot themselves in the foot. Now, that call on Landon Dickerson, that penalty on him, that was one of the most bogus holding penalties I've ever seen in my life. That was a touchdown for Gainwell. They took that away from him. And then after that, they kept pedaling backwards. They kept shooting themselves in the foot. Okay? It's quite obvious this offense is not anywhere near as fluid with Jalen back there compared to Gardner Minshew back there. But based on what we saw last week of Gardner Minshew going down to Dallas, putting up 355 yards, I thought the offense would look similar to that, especially in the passing game. It looked nowhere close to that. So was it the execution? Was it the play calling? Or was it the scheme of the Saints that just totally discombobulated the entire Eagles offense?
See, D-Gun, I'll say this, okay? You can dispute when Jalen's in the game. Like, a couple of games back, he ran the ball 17 times, okay? You can dispute the play calling because when you run RPO and read option, the quarterback is making the decision whether to give the ball or whether to keep it based upon what he's reading. There's no ambiguity here whatsoever with Gardner Minshew and what you saw today. This is solely on Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen's shoulders because this is the game that they call. There was no read option there for Gardner Minshew to make an alternative decision, on the play. It's all play calling, So the difference with Jalen is, there's that level and there's that gray area of ambiguity when it comes to Jalen with the ball in his hand, because every single play he can either hand it off to Miles, he can throw it, or he can keep it and take off and run himself. Right. Okay. When you have Gardner Minshew in the game, everything that you call has to be, precise, and it has to be called with a purpose, and it has to be offensively coordinated in order for Gardner to be successful, because there's no decision making there for him other than the fact that when he goes through his read, that's it in a nutshell. So Mike, this is why I'm saying I put the majority of this onus, as bad as Gardner played, I put the majority of this onus squarely on Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen for how they call this football game and their inability to adjust after the second series.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I was flabbergasted.
Mike,
by the way, you're right. When they got to 13-10, that's even that's even more where you're thinking, okay, the gate's gonna bust now, and it just did not happen.
And Mike, I want to go back to the topic you brought up a moment ago. Seth brought up a moment ago about should Jalen Hurts have played or not in this game, because this was a debate across the region all week long. Should he have not played? If he was healthy enough to play, I truly believe they would have played him today. So I go back to what I said prior to that Dallas game. I began to wonder just how serious this injury is, okay? Because your coaching staff kept telling you, oh, he's making progress. And then all of a sudden people got jacked up when they saw him out on the practice field Thursday. But what we saw in a very minute form was him throwing soft, short passes. We didn't see him loaded up and throw deep balls, okay? And the media is out of there by that time, so they don't get to see a whole lot of that. So you have a medical staff. You have a trainer staff who has worked with him all week trying to get this thing right. The fact that he didn't step on the field today tells me that we think he needs just a little bit more time before we let him turn him loose again. We've got to roll the dice, and hopefully against two opponents, they should have done Dallas and the Saints. We believe with what we have on both sides of the football that we can get this thing done, and it's backfired on them. I don't fault them for not playing Jalen today, because for all the people who are out there screaming, you should have played. Now, and I'm not saying you, Seth, because I've been going back and forth with this. But the people out there, you should play him. Well, what happens if he takes another direct hit on that shoulder and he gets drilled into the ground on his shoulder? All of a sudden, he's set back 3 additional weeks. You don't have him for the first playoff game. Same people screaming, why did you put that man in harm's way? In this case, I can question a lot of things about their coaching staff and that organization. But they knew the magnitude of this game. They know they need this one more game just to wrap this thing up and then let your regular sit. The fact that you kept the engine who makes that offense go out of this game tells me that he was not 100% ready to go, and they did not want to put him in harm's way today. Now, unfortunately, you got to play him next week. You have to play him in that game next week now.
All right, let's take a break. We're going to come back and talk more about that with the Diamond debate, because it is a major issue. And we didn't think that we were going to have to talk about this issue, but this game has now put that into play, like just in boldface. So we'll talk about that. It's the Upon Lehocky Eagles postgame show. The Eagles lose today. Yes, if you're just tuning in from your New Year's celebration, they lost at home in mild temperatures to the New Orleans Saints, a result that we didn't think was going to happen. So we'll continue to talk about that. We'll debate the Jalen Hurts situation with Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner. I'm Mike Missinelli, the Eagles postgame show, brought to us by Upon Lehocky. And we're on remote today, by the way. I'm not at Ocean Casino. We're doing the show remote. So Happy New Year to everybody, and hope everybody had a good New Year's Eve and a peaceful New Year's Day. Back after this.
Hi, everybody. My name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech, we offer 3 major services. The first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
My husband hadn't missed work in 15 years. His injury required months of rehabilitation, and unfortunately, the insurance company didn't see it that way. I was working 2 jobs, but it wasn't enough. One conversation with Pond Lehocky changed everything. We sat down, told him our story, and they guided us through the whole workers' compensation legal process.
Pond Lehocky. Tell us your story.
Postgame show with Seth Joyner.
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn.
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney.
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
And Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know how Philly is.
Postgame, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
Celebrating the life of your loved one is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. When the matriarch of the Dalloway family died suddenly at 82 years old, Life Celebrations by Givenish stepped in.
They will make this the easiest thing that it's I know it's not easy, but they will make this as easy as possible.
Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
I just know that my dad, who is in charge of everything, was not in charge of anything at that point when my mom passed. And again, just another shout out to this place for making it easy.
Turning tragedy into a celebration of life, no matter how hard, is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Continue your communication sciences and disorders education at Salus University within the Doctor of Audiology or Masters of Science in Speech-Language Pathology programs. With state-of-the-art labs, on-campus clinics, and extensive externship opportunities, students position themselves to be at the top of the job market. Stand out in the audiology and speech-language pathology profession by visiting salus.edu.
Yes, it is the Lehocky Eagles postgame show. I am Mike Missinelli with Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner, and the Eagles lose it today, 20-10. That means they need a win next week, which leads us into our Mark's Jewelers Diamond debate. And normally Devin Caney is on the set showing us something fancy, diamond-oriented that the Marks people sent to us. Well, they missed the delivery to my house this week, I think. I'm going to show you. This is the watch I did not get from Mark's Jewelers. This is I've been telling people it's gold, but it's brass, and it's got mother of pearl. So this is not the Mark's Jewelry watch. But if you missed the opportunity, I know a lot of people did. If you missed the opportunity to purchase that engagement ring at Christmas, she's waiting for it come Valentine's Day. So start your Valentine's Day diamond shopping right now. Mark's Jewelers, an incredible place. The size of the store will blow you away. Seth, you loved it. Devin loves it. D Gunn and I are the only people that really haven't gotten any kind of bling to wear on the show.
You sound like you're a little hurt, man.
Well, of course I'm hurt.
I'm gonna hook you up next week.
Okay.
We'll be back down at Parks next week. I'm gonna make sure that you get a watch. I'm gonna make sure you get a watch or a
Where we go, we'll be at Ocean next week.
What about me? What
I got you, but he over there crying. I'm gonna make sure he get like a tennis bracelet or something to wear and show next week.
That'd be nice. That's a nice thought. A tennis bracelet. All right, let's do our diamond debate here, brought to us by Mark's Jewelers. So we touched on it a little bit in the last segment. And it's really interesting about whether he's hurt or not. So let's just say, and Derek, I think your instincts are right. He's more hurt than they would let on. I think this was a ruse this week that he was going to play to just try to throw off New Orleans in their preparation. So now it becomes a situation, Seth, where and I know you put the difference between injury and hurt. So let's just say that he is not 100%. You have now backed yourself into a corner where you cannot afford to lose that game. And it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be against a team that wants to beat you. So do you not have to say, hey, Jalen, you're not 100%. I know we're putting you at risk probably. We need you to play. Do they have any choice but to throw him back out there in that game?
You got to play him. I mean, you can't – you think that Gardner Minshew is going to come out next week and give you a solid performance after just having his confidence snatched from his soul today?
No, he's scared me to death if he has.
Okay, so he's got nothing left. The only alternative that you have is to get Jalen Hurts back on the field. Now listen, I get it. We live in a different NFL than the one that I grew up in, the one that I lived in. Okay, but at some point in time, there's an old saying. Anyone who's been through training camp, okay, they're hurting until the last game, whether that be the regular season, the playoffs, or the Super Bowl. Something on you is hurting all the time. That's just the nature of the game, okay? The question is, can you deal with the pain or the hurt enough that allows you to do the things that you normally do? That's what defines something hurting you. If you can still perform, at 75, to 80% of your production with your hurt, then it's just a hurt. Okay. If you
here's where the debate comes in. And
I'll
go back to Derek Gunn's point.
Hold on, let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
If you can't, now that's an injury. Okay. An injury is something that doesn't allow you to do the things that you're normally able to do, like running or jumping or catching a ball or being able to throw a ball, okay? My issue with this whole let's roll Jalen Hurts out there and show him going through some drills and, doing some soft tosses, why even do it? Why even put him in a situation where, and maybe – are you just like, are you like grandstanding?
Yeah,
to get the Saints to a point.
They were playing games with the Saints.
Come on, man. I mean,
they were playing games with the Saints.
Teams do that all the time, though.
Yeah, they do.
My point is, if he's that hurt, then he ain't got no damn business out there throwing the ball in the first place. Okay, just the fact that I see him throwing the ball, okay, tells me that he probably can play. Now, he might not be able to throw it 50, 60 yards like everybody, like we're used to seeing him do, okay? You don't really need him to do that. Not against this team.
But here's the thing.
For him to do
Derek,
was to
explain,
create the illusion of him running with the football to create opportunities for you offensively, because you don't have that with Gardner Minshew. And that's exactly why I said he should have played. Now, what's the difference between this week and next week? Because I tell you, there's no way in hell that the Eagles are rolling into week 18 and rolling Gardner Minshew back out there. Jalen Hurts is playing next week. So what the hell was the difference between playing him this week and playing him next week?
I don't know.
And hold on. And D-Gun for you, okay? If he goes out and somebody falls on that shoulder next week, what's the difference between somebody falling on that shoulder this week or next week?
The difference between this week and next week, as I've seen time and time again, medical staff, if we give them 7 additional days, that will heal this thing that much more. Now, again, I go back to a statement I said before we went to a commercial break. Everybody on the planet that follows this Eagles team understood the magnitude and the significance of this game. You win this game, you clinch first place, and then you get to sit your regulars next week in a meaningless game against the Giants. The fact that Jalen Hurts was not out there today tells me they are not comfortable where he is right now. And Seth, I've seen it too many times, time and time again over the last 10 years. We see video of a quarterback, hey, and it makes national news. So-and-so's out there practicing with taking first team reps today. Game time comes around, so-and-so is inactive today. It happens all the time.
It does happen. And so here to this point, I believe you're right, Derek. I think the Eagles thought they could get by this game and not play him at all until the first game of the playoffs to give him that kind of rehabilitation. So now the landscape has changed. I still don't believe he's ready to play 100%. And you're right about re-injuring. And if he gets re-injured on a run or whatever, and he gets the shoulder jarred, then they're screwed for the playoffs. Yeah. So here's the balancing act.
He ain't going to be ready to play. He's not going to be 100%, Mike, until
he's going to be more 100% play until the playoff game time.
Yeah.
Do you play him in this must-win situation? I'm agreeing with you, Seth. I think you have to play him.
You have to play him.
But it's a precarious situation now.
And even if the Giants are locked into the number 6 seed, no matter what. So I'm thinking right now they're going to pull their regulars. But here's the thing. Wink Martindale is going to have his boys play their scheme, which means they're going to be blitzing all over the field again. Okay? And so somewhere along the line, he could take that unexpected shot.
No, listen. Let me tell you what they need to do, D-Gun. Okay, they need to line up in 12. Jack Stahl needs to line up right next to Jack Driscoll all game long, and don't leave. You understand what I'm saying? And you're gonna run 4-man routes all day long. Okay.
So here's what it should do.
You're gonna go 6-man protection.
Right.
7 if you have to with the bat.
They're not going to do that, Seth.
Huh?
They're not going to do that. You know they're not going to do Seth, you know this Eagles team is not going to do that. Their coaches, yes, I agree with you. But just like what you said on the pregame show, I'm hoping the Eagles DBs come up, play press coverage. What did I say? They're not going to do that. And they didn't do it. They let the Saints tight ends and receivers run wide open in the middle of the field. They're not going to do that. It's basic football. You're right, Seth. They're not going to play that scheme. Here's what I think they should do. Put Mulata's butt on the right side and bring that first-round pick you've been sitting on the bench forever to the left side. Now, 2/5 of your starting offensive line now is you're basically messing with 2/5 of your starting offensive line. But you got a $50 million left tackle that should be able to move over to the right side. And you have a high-profile first-round pick who hasn't played much of this season, who should be able to plop his butt on the left side because mentally he can't play the right side. What does the coaching staff tell us? Oh, Dillard's more comfortable on the left side. Every other offensive lineman except Jason Kelsey is an interchangeable part. You can move in Lane Johnson. You can move them anywhere else, but Dillard can only play the left side. Well, you know what? After what I saw from Jack Driscoll last week and today, Mulata, get your behind over here. Dillard, get your feelings in check. Get off the bench. You're playing the left side today. Plain and simple.
Listen, man, I'm telling you right now, that is too much. That's too much to upset, in my opinion. Just put the tight end over there. Just put him over there.
I agree. Seth, they're not going to do it.
He's saying that you're not going to do it the Seth way. And he's right. They're not going to do it the Seth way. So I do believe there's going to be a change. And Dillard's going to be in the lineup somewhere.
Listen, man. The fact that he hasn't been in the lineup except for at right guard, when Seumalo got hurt, speaks volumes, okay? They can't even get anybody to give him a cheesesteak, a Philly pretzel, and some tasty cakes for him, okay? If he could play some way, somehow, they find a way to get him on the field. Even if you want to go your big package and bring in an extra extra lineman to, for big packages, who are you going to bring in? When Lane is healthy, they bring in Jack Driscoll. They don't bring in Andre Dillard. Those kinds of things speaks volumes to me, man. They just do.
Yeah, but they've done it before. They put Dillard in that situation. Mm-hmm. We asked it last week, John McMullen, who's coming up in the next segment, and John McMullen thought that they would play Driscoll. Well, they did, and he didn't pass the test. So now you might have to alter that plan. So, Derek, back on your point, the Giants are locked into the 6th seed.
Right.
And they are going to play some of their backups, and they don't need the game.
No.
Does that influence the Eagles on playing Minshew another week?
No. You don't want to take that risk, especially against that. Okay. What did the Saints do? They abused the Eagles' offensive line. I mean, they abused that right side. Driscoll cannot handle Cameron Jordan. We talk about the Eagles getting 7 quarterback sacks. Oh, by the way, the Saints had 6. Okay. And what does Wink Martindale like to do with the Giants? He wants to blitz all day and put pressure on Minshew, make him make a decision. You saw what happened with that pick 6. He couldn't wait to get the ball out of his hand. He telegraphed that pass to A.J. Brown. Lattimore steps in front of him, walks to the house. Good night, game over. You've got to play your best of the best. Now, hopefully, with the Giants sitting out their regulars, you put Jalen in there, you run up a lead like you did the first time against the Giants and get him out of there to get him the necessary rest. But you cannot just let this kid sit for 5 weeks and get ready for a playoff game. He has to get some kind of game reps. Get him in there, do the damage you need to do, get him out of there before anything else happens. Because like I said before, you look at the fluke injury that a Josh Sweat had today, and luckily I just saw a little while ago, he was released from the hospital, so that's a good thing. Now, obviously, we don't know his status for the upcoming game when you have a neck injury like that, but by the same token, your franchise quarterback needs to get a few reps before he hits the ground running in the playoffs. And do you want to go in the playoffs as the number 1 seed or as the number 5 seed? Because if you go as the number 5 seed, guess what? You're heading down to Tampa Bay to play that dude named Brady, okay? Or do you want to sit at home and get an extra week to get a whole lot of people rest up? Lane Johnson, Avonte Maddox, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and now Josh Sweat. I'd much rather have that extra week getting my guys ready.
I'd rather have it too. That's why I would have played Jalen Hurts today.
But why didn't he, Seth? It tells me something else is going on.
I think that they're being overly cautious with him because they have the flexibility. I felt that way all along. I just, D-Gun, I'm just a firm believer. I know what it feels like, to have injuries. I've had shoulder surgery. It's one of my 6 surgeries that I've had.
Right.
Okay. So I get it. But what I'm saying is, if that shoulder injury was as severe and as massive as they've tried to make it out to be, then there's no way he even finishes that game. You understand what I'm saying? He doesn't finish that game, where he gets hurt. He plays the whole third quarter, and the third quarter was better than any other quarter that he played the entire game. So I've always felt like, hey, he's going to wake up tomorrow. He's going to be really sore. He may be really sore, for a while, okay? But I just don't feel like it's as serious as they made it out to be. And I think that they're being overly precautious with Jalen Hurts. Because listen, the running game is good enough that you don't need him to throw the ball 50 yards down the field.
Wait, okay? What running game? They don't run the ball. What running game?
And when he's in there, the running game looks markedly different.
You're right. But Seth, okay? what if he had done worse damage by finishing that game in Chicago?
Yeah, but you can't listen. if 53 guys can step on the field every single Sunday with that what if mentality.
I get it.
When you think, and I've always said this, the Eagles are a protectionary organization by the way that they practice and by the way that they talk about, injuries. And I get it. They've been bitten by the injury bugs probably more than any other team in the NFL over the last 5 years. But you know what really happens, in my opinion, is, I never walked out on the field with a thought that I might get hurt. You just go and you play. Now, if you get hurt, you get hurt. That's a part of the game. That's how it works. But I think when the onus and the focus is on trying to stay healthy or getting hurt, and it starts at the top and it filtrates itself all the way down to the 53rd guy on the roster, now you're creating this energy around the organization that attracts injury to you. Go out and play the game. If you go out and you play and you're playing 100 miles an hour, you're less likely to get hurt than when you're always trying to put them in bubble wrap and trying to protect them. The game ain't meant to be played that way. If you're supposed to get hurt, you're gonna get hurt. That's just the way it is.
I can't get off to this. The fact that they knew the magnitude of this game, and yet they kept him out of this game. I just can't let go of that, because that doesn't make sense. You don't do that. You know the bigger picture. You know what I'm saying?
But Derek, don't you think they thought that Minshew could beat the Saints? And they thought they were in the safety zone.
After what he did last week,
so they wanted it. They wanted it both ways. Basically, they wanted to protect Jalen, and they thought they could win with Gardner Minshew, and they found out differently. So now they're like, you have to play him now, and it doesn't matter if he's hurt. You've got to play him and get this win. And if the Giants look like they're kind of just going through the motions, and maybe you have some leeway to get him out of there or whatever it is. But I didn't expect that they were going to be in this kind of a situation. I really didn't. And I don't think they did either.
No, I didn't either. That's why I said they spun the roulette wheel, and it came up against them. If I was a coaching staff, I would have approached it the same way. After what you did in Dallas on Christmas Eve in front of a national audience, and you went tooth and nail with that defense, and you gave us a chance to win. You put up 355 yards passing on that defense and 2 touchdown passes. I'm looking at this Saints team that can barely score 20 points a game. We have more than enough firepower. We have more than enough defense to control the Saints. I agree. That would have been my strategy as well. It backfired on them. They rolled the dice, and it came up snake eyes on them.
Yeah, and they're up against it. So we'll talk to John McMullen next. And he covered the game, and he listened to all the post-game press conferences. And I'm dying to hear if anybody press Sirianni on this offensive game plan, which was woeful, inadequate, and force the Eagles to now go into a desperation situation next week. This is the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show. John McMullen up next, and we'll be back after this.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
Hi, I'm Jim Muehlbronner, Managing Partner at Delval Insurance Group. Give us a call. We're a local, knowledgeable agency, not an 800 number. Go Birds!
Staffing is not easy, but that's what we do every day, all day. The key to our success is storytelling, asking the right questions to find the right people. Hi, I'm Gary Kane, President of Kane Partners. We want to be your staffing partner.
Welcome to Pond Lehocky. We've helped over 100,000 injured and disabled workers obtain benefits, as well as some of the biggest settlements in the state. If you've been injured at work, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Go for the beers, go for the cheers, go for the hit and the hits, go for the scene, go for the screens, go for the gallery, go for the win, go to Ocean.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for a December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Ram starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio, Destination Downingtown, Big Finish Sales Event.
All right, welcome back to the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show with Derek Gunn and Seth Joyner. Mike Missinelli. As the Eagles lose today 20-10 at home to the Saints, setting up a situation next week where they have one more game to win to clinch the number 1 seed. And is it possible the Dallas Cowboys come flying back here and win this division because of this nonsense? Well, let's talk to the man who covered the Eagles game today at Lincoln Financial Field and get some answers. He, of course, is JAKIB Media's John McMullen, and he joins us right now. John, are you with us? Oh, we lost John. So let's talk a little bit about I'll tell you what, let's guess what Nick Sirianni would say, right? You're asked that question. I hope he was asked the question, first of all. I hope this was a press corps today that really pressed him on some things, because he frankly had it easy all year and hasn't really had to give any tough answers to tough questions. So Derek, you're the first questioner. What's the first question you asked the head coach?
Hey, Coach, what was the game plan going into this game against the Saints defense that was giving up 132 yards rushing? Why did you come out throwing the football? Plain and simple.
Simple question.
Plain and simple. Now,
you press them from there. Okay, do we have John now? I believe
if there's one guy in the media who would have pressed him, I know it would be John McMullen. It would be Jeff McClain or John McMullen. Exactly.
Yeah, he joins us now. John,
they won't give me a press pass.
thanks for joining us, and I assume you've heard all the post-game reaction from the important parties, so I'll throw it right at you. What in the hell were they trying to do offensively today with that game plan? Because they looked confused. They didn't look like they knew what they wanted to do. They didn't run the football at all. Minshew looked like a fish out of water. What answers did you get from the head coach?
Well, not many. It was, other than it was a poor performance, which I think everybody knows. So my question was, you had 4 consecutive 3-and-outs, 4 consecutive 3-and-outs. Now, this offense has been really, really good. There have been times when they throw it too much, they go with that tempo, and they have the lopsided time of possession, but they usually correct it with Jalen Hurts, obviously. But you had Gardner Minshew today, and, I kind of compare it to sort of your 5th member of the rotation, if you want to use the baseball analogy, and he didn't have his good stuff. He was inaccurate. He was a little bit spooked early, I think, by the Saints pass rush, which the Eagles offensive line did not have a great day. A lot of that had to do with Lane Johnson, but not all of it. They had 6 penalties, 4 false starts. Again, false starts at home, I don't get. That's been a theme with this team. It was just a sloppy performance. They didn't play well. But I think the irony of all ironies, Week 18 is meaningful for the Eagles. It's not meaningful for the Giants. The Giants are locked into the 6th seed. The Giants don't have to play the game. The Eagles still have to win the division and win the conference and play the game. So I think that's good news for the Eagles. I wouldn't panic. But, yeah, this was a bad performance. Easily their worst game of the year. Easily.
John, I want to get your professional opinion on something. Let me ask you this first of all. You were in practice every day last week, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you were among the contingent that saw Jalen Hurts walk out there.
That dog and pony show. Don't get
there
me
you go.
started.
Okay, there you go. See, that's what I'm getting at. So, and I've seen this too many times over the last decade or so, especially since social media has arrived in our lives. You see a star quarterback go out there and practice take the first team reps, blows up on social media. All of a sudden, he's deactivated on Sunday. He doesn't play. People got excited because they saw Jalen Hurts throwing short passes. How much of practice were you guys actually able to watch when he was out there just slinging around short passes, first of all?
This time of year, we're only allowed to watch, the first 15 or so minutes of practice. And you get to see a little bit of individual work. And then as they start to go in, throw to the running backs a little bit. But it was interesting about what was funny about Thursday. I can now talk about it. I wasn't allowed to talk about it. The Eagles make it. I joked the dateline should have been Langley, Virginia, because they're acting like this is the CIA disinformation. Oh, you can't talk about Jack Driscoll taking first-team reps at right tackle.
What?
Like Dennis Allen is awake at night worrying about, is it going to be Jack Driscoll or Andre Dillard or Jordan Mailata? You don't do that, but feel free to waltz up to the starting quarterback and take all the video. I have never been that close to Jalen Hurts in my life. Now, I joke. I get close to him all the time. But at practice, they keep us away from the quarterbacks as much as humanly possible. And on Thursday, we're like, by all means, go in the end zone, go over to the side of the field, make sure you get enough photos and videos of the starting quarterback. And, on Burst 365, I said, I don't think Jalen's playing. I don't think he's going to practice this week. And a lot of people were dunking on me on Thursday because he did practice. And I said, wait till Sunday, because, when they went to the ball security drills, Jalen didn't participate. And I was saying, look, if you can't survive Shane Steichen hitting you with a pad, how are you going to survive Demario Davis taking a shot at your shoulder on game day?
That's right.
He was never going to play. It was all subterfuge. And I do think it was a 2-week injury. 2 to 3 weeks is what I was told originally. I do think he can play. He will be able to play in Week 18. I think they'll feel comfortable that the threat of re-injury or making it more serious has been alleviated. We'll see how that shakes out. But if the Giants aren't going to play, I mean, that might make their decision a little bit easier.
So John, based on what the information you're saying, then do you? Be honest. Do you think? And here's what I'm thinking: that after discussions with the trainers and the doctors, they still didn't feel that shoulder is where it needs to be to play in a game, knowing the magnitude of this game and what it meant in terms of clinching, and they feel maybe an extra 7 days would be that much more beneficial to getting him back to where they need him to be.
Well, I think, if you look at an AC sort of shoulder sprain, it has grade 1, grade 2, grade 3.
Yep.
From the Eagles' description early on, it was pretty clear Jalen Hurts had a grade 2. And if you read the documentation, I talked to a doctor from Vail, Colorado, shoulder guy. He said it's a 2 to 3 week injury. But if you try to push it, it's where the collarbone meets the breastbone. If you try to push it, you're more susceptible to breaking the collarbone. Mm-hmm. So while people say, well, what does 7 days mean? And Seth can talk about this. 7 days could mean an eternity for an NFL player.
Yep.
And yeah, there's a big difference between 2 weeks and 3 weeks with this particular injury.
John, you forget I'm old school. 7 days.
He doesn't forget.
Seven. There's a big difference between 7 days in my era and 7 days in today's player's era. Listen, I get the sense that every single one of these players on this football team is hurting in some fashion. Some may even be playing, with injury. I respect the fact that the Eagles have put themselves in a position where you want to do what's best for your quarterback, especially coming from an era where they didn't, frankly, give a damn how bad you were hurt. They would just put you back out there. So I can respect that. But, I'm of the mindset that, even when he comes back next week, he's going to have some pain. He's going to have some discomfort. He's going to get hit on that shoulder again, and who knows, the difference between a week, 7 days and playing today, could have been them wrapping up, the division today. I don't know. They made a decision. It is what it is. I'm just going to move on from it. My question is, but when you came on and you got kind of turned off, Mike asked the question, if we were in the press conference, what's the first question that we would have asked Nick Sirianni? And D Gunn started off. He was like, Coach, what was the game plan for the day? Okay. And I'm sure D Gunn might have followed it up. My question would have been, Coach, what took you so damn long to change your game plan after the first 2 series? You went 3 and out, 3 and out. So you knew right there, this whole mode of operation to come out and throw the ball, it wasn't working. And I understand what you're trying to do. You're trying to throw it early to get up and get a lead, and then you can balance out the run later on, in your 4-minute offense. Yeah, okay? It wasn't working today, and it didn't work. You went 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, and then the clock ran out on you, at the half. And you had, 0 points, 1 first down. I mean, it was just an atrocious, display of offense. Why in the hell do you guys seem intent on trying to throw the ball and forcing it even when it's not there? They came out in the second half, John, and they made the decision to run the ball. They finally got something going before the offense stalled and they had to settle for a field goal. But at the same token, at least the offense was moving. And then the next series, they come back and they start throwing it, trying to air it out again. I just don't get this mentality. When you do something well, okay, the Eagles offense ranks 4th in run in the NFL, 153 yards. Now I get it. Jalen Hurts accounts for a lot of that. But Miles Sanders is a 1,000-yard rusher. And he only touches the ball in a running fashion twice in the entire first half. I mean, this is just, I don't know how you feel about it, and I know I'm ranting rather than asking a question right now, but as bad as Gardner Minshew played, I don't even blame him. I put this on Nick Sirianni and I put this on Shane Steichen for the type of game that they call and the situation that they put him in. They put him in a position to fail because they asked him to do things today that they know damn well that he's not capable of doing, especially when they got behind.
Yeah, I think that's a fair criticism of this staff. If you go back last week, I said the same thing on defense with Jonathan Gannon and Josiah Scott on 3rd and 30. You know, why not just play cover 2 instead of playing cover 2 sink? And you're asking Josiah Scott to do this sort of maybe this thing he's not comfortable with, where Avonte Maddox could do it. Similar offensively today, I do think this team gets into a little bit too much of a mindset that, all right, the backup's going to go in there. We're going to ask him to do what the starter does. And, you know, Jack Driscoll with Lane Johnson, you know, it's not the same. Josh Sweat goes down in a scary situation today. It's not the same. When you're down the backups, yeah, you have to adjust. So when I look at the Eagles, you know, it was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. I think it was 4 3 and outs to start the game. And then they finally got the first down with 11 seconds. Then they got another first down, but it was halftime. And then they came out of halftime and they played with a little bit more energy, a little bit more tempo, and they converted a first down. I don't know how many plays they had in the first half, but it was less than 20. It was maybe 15, 16. That's ridiculous. So, you know, it was a combination.
17 total, John.
Yeah, 17. So it was a combination of things. The quarterback wasn't playing well. The offensive line was struggling without Lane Johnson. You know, the 2 carries that Miles didn't get, you know, maybe you got to – I think people don't realize Miles is hurt. Miles missed practice on Wednesday. It was just a walkthrough, but he's got a knee problem. He's wearing the knee brace, if you guys noticed, on his left knee.
Yeah.
He's banged up. So maybe that played into the thinking as well. But as coaches, you got to find a way to scheme up a stinking first down. Is what I'm trying to say.
So let me follow up on that, because you said that what did you learn from the coach about this? And you said not much. What? How come? Like, what was his explanation for it? I assume he was asked about it.
Yeah, it was asked about it. I asked him, you know, what do you think of Gardner's, you know, performance? And it was basically, you know, I got to watch the film. No, you don't. Well, for certain things you do, but he knows what went on, and he knows, look, the guy wasn't playing well. Now, he did admit it wasn't his best game, understated that. But, yeah, why do you keep trying to throw the football? I mean, think about the pick 6 to Lattimore. I mean, he's making bad decisions. Lattimore hasn't played since week 5, but everybody in this league knows how good he is, knows how smart he is. Why are you putting a quarterback who's having a bad day in that situation?
That's right. That's right.
So he didn't have any answers for it?
Well, as I said, Mike, it's the typical. I got to watch the film, and we'll see what went wrong. What went wrong? What went wrong? It's fair to say this was the worst performance of the season. Look, this is a personnel-driven league. I do think, you know, it's the old adage. You know, the coach and the quarterback gets too much credit when they win, too much blame when they lose. The players didn't play well. And when your players aren't playing well, you're going to have an issue. But there are things you can do to maybe mask some of the deficiencies. And I don't think Shane Steichen particularly and Nick Sirianni on the offensive side did a good job of this.
John, just one follow-up before I move on to the other guys who want to ask you more questions. You said that since the Giants don't need the game, maybe that makes the Eagles' decision easier. And what are you saying, that there's a chance that because the Giants aren't playing full bore, that they would go back to Minshew?
I mean, there's a chance if there's worried about Jalen Hurts. But, you know, it's all health related. It's all, you know, you don't want to risk your starting quarterback for the playoffs. You don't want to risk it. If the Giants make it clear they're not going to play the game, like Tennessee did on Thursday night, or some other teams have started to do, yeah, that makes it an easy decision.
Really?
If they're not going to play the game, how are they going to beat you? If they're not trying to win the game, I don't know what the Giants are going to do, and we'll see what they're going to do. But I can't imagine the Giants are going to play Saquon Barkley. I can't imagine it.
No,
I can't imagine that they're going to play Daniel Jones more than a series or two. Why would they? Why would they? They're locked in to the 6th seed. So if you're not going to play your best players, I do think that makes things a little bit easier for the Eagles. I mean, I think that's pretty evident. And by the way, Minnesota's getting waxed in Green Bay.
Yep.
So you don't have to worry about that as far as the number 1 seed. So there's another team you don't have to worry about. So it's not as bad as people are making it out to be when it comes to the NFC East and the number 1 seed.
John, you know, we spent a lot of time here talking about the coaching decisions and the interplay of the offense, but I can't let this defense off the hook over that first 30 minutes. Of the players that you guys talked to, what kind of answers did you get to questions like, how do you let a bland offense like the Saints that have been inconsistent, number one, control the clock for 22 minutes in the first half and run 39 plays against your defense? And you knew exactly what they were going to do. The Wildcat is an integral part of that offense. In the opening drive, they ran the Wildcat 6 times, which enabled them to go down the field and punch it in on almost a 9-minute drive. Did players answer to these questions?
Yeah, I mean, well, the thing about I think the defense adjusted quicker.
In the second half.
Sure, yeah. And they only gave up 20 points. And my God, Andy Dalton spends all day in the pocket. I mean, they had 7 sacks. They could pass now the Chicago Bears for the sack record next week. Granted, 17 games, but they're that close. They're at 68. The record is 72. They were fine. The defense as a whole was fine, other than that first drive. I think, you know, the Eagles got some of their own medicine they're not used to. That short yardage stuff is difficult with Taysom Hill. I mean, that guy is big. That guy is powerful. And if you're 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, that's going to be really difficult to stop. That's what teams typically deal with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts. Well, they got some of their own medicine. Overall, the offense was so bad. I can't get to the defense. I mean, there's some things they weren't great in coverage.
Again.
Yeah, and you know, again, they don't have Avonte Maddox. They don't have C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So some of that should be expected. But again, I mentioned last week with Gannon, don't ask Josiah Scott to do what Avonte Maddox does. Don't ask Reed Blankenship to do what C.J. Gardner-Johnson does. I think that part of it's fair.
John, Seth, you got something?
I'm just.
Go ahead.
It's just I'm gonna. John, you can't get over to the offensive side. I mean, it's like night and day what they did on the defensive side. They had 5 possessions in the first half. They gave up 13 points in the first half with 1 punt, and then they come out and they reel off. You know, they make them punt the ball 5 times in the second half, but the offense can't figure out, you know, what to do with the football on the other side. My thing is, you know, if you're able to make these adjustments in the first half, why can't you make the adjustments, you know, in the second half, right? Why can't you make these adjustments in the first half? You know, you talk about, you know, I think I was talking to someone a couple of days ago about the whole Taysom Hill thing. You know that 99.9% of the time when he comes in the game, he's going to run the football, okay? So just go zero coverage, go man-to-man across the board, force him to have to throw the ball, okay? And just go gap defense all the way across the board. there are times where I'm looking at, when they get into their 5-man front, their 5-man front is almost like an Eagle front. It's almost like the 46. But sometimes I watch TJ Edwards and his alignment is so misaligned because instead of him lining up outside on the tackle, either head up or outside shade on the tackle, he'll line up stacked over the defensive tackle. So when they double down on the tackle and the tackle goes up second level, now there's no edge there. TJ can't turn that play back into the other guy or to the rest of the defense. I mean, these little small things, John, that I'm looking at, that just they don't make any sense to me. Take away what he does. Taysom Hill, you stop him on 3rd and 3, and then they turn around and have the audacity to run the same damn play at you again on 4th and 3, and you allow him to convert it. No, I would have had my linebackers step up in, everybody get in your gap. Okay. And let's take away the gap. If we build a gap defense all the way across, he has nowhere to run. He's got to dance until somebody gets off a play. And I'm just like, I'm watching this, and it just makes no sense to me that you knew that Taysom Hill is going to get about 20% of the offensive plays. Yet you had, like everybody else, you had no answer for him. When Alvin Kamara is the only real weapon that they had, you had no answer for him whatsoever. And I just thought that, he was the difference maker. But then you go to the second half of the game, that's really where they put the clamps on him and put him in position where they really couldn't, where he was a non-factor.
Yeah, well, I do think, and Taysom Hill, it's kind of where are you going to put him? I do think it's not. I mean, he is capable of throwing the football, and that's what makes him a problem. Now, as a starting quarterback, and he got one opportunity, he's not going to be a starting quarterback. But this guy can throw the football. So if you do go 0 on him, he will throw the football and
make him complete
the pass.
Make him prove that he can complete it. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was 2 for 2 today. So when he did throw the ball, he was 2 for 2. And the reason why is because there's so much attention to him as a runner. Well, all of a sudden that creates some issues on the back end. And I'll give our buddy Mike Quick credit because he was talking about Shaheed on New Orleans before the game, undrafted rookie, really fast from Weber State. And he said he's going to get him because they don't know. And he got Bradbury.
Yeah, he did.
He got Bradbury for that 58-yard gain, and the Eagles were able to hold him to a field goal. And Chris Olave is a good player, and he was back in the lineup, and he really gave the Eagles some trouble, especially early. He was a big part of it early. And then they settled down, and Andy Dalton, like I said, I think he got a recliner delivered to Lincoln Financial Field because he just holds onto the football forever. I mean, just holds it and holds it and holds it and holds it. And they get home for 7 sacks. Bottom line, this is 2023 now. Happy New Year's, by the way, everybody. This is 2023. In the 2023 NFL, if you give up 20 points, you should win.
That's right.
Certainly the Eagles should win.
That's right.
And they didn't. So that's why I go, that's why I go offense before I go defense.
There's no question. John, always a pleasure. Thank you. And so next week's an important game. And if you just heard what John McMullen said, maybe they try to survive it with Minshew since the Giants might not participate.
Not a chance in hell. Not a snowball's chance in hell.
We'll talk to you next week, John.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right,
take care, John.
JAKIB Media. I know he shook you up with that answer.
No.
You think it's a real possibility.
No way. Hey, listen, let me tell you something, Mike. Okay? If everybody thinks that the Giants are going to come in here and lay down and give the Eagles the easy path to the division and to the number 1 seed, you got another thing coming. You got to remember the mindset of one Brian Daboll and the mindset of one, Wink Martindale. They're going to come in here. The Eagles embarrassed them the first game, put up 48 points on them.
That's right.
You think they're going to come in here and lay down and just give the Eagles? They ain't giving them.
We'll see what happens.
No, there ain't no we'll see. I'm telling you right now. Okay? Not only do those coaches have a sense of pride and they realize that they haven't played very well, and they have to play against a winning team, a good football team going into the playoffs, you think they're going to back off right now? Hell no. Hell no.
All right.
And if the Eagles coaching staff think that that's the issue, then guess what? They don't deserve the NFC East or the first round bye.
I love it. He's all stirred up because we got plenty of show left. We got game balls, and we have our drive of the game next, and we're calling in the doc. That's right. We got to talk about some injuries, especially Jalen Hurts, especially Josh Sweat, some other guys. Dr. Bruce Grosinger will join us. Stay tuned because up next, our drive of the game, fellas. And I'm guessing it's not going to be Eagles. It is the Lehocky Eagles postgame show, and we're back after this.
My wife was in an accident that changed our lives forever. She was in rehabilitation for years. She had to learn to walk again. She couldn't take care of herself. We couldn't afford a nurse. We were running out of options. One conversation with Lehocky changed everything. They understood what we were going through and immediately helped us navigate the legal process. We can't thank them enough.
Lehocky, tell us your story.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Number 1, Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown is rolling back prices for a December to remember. For a limited time, you can own, not lease, brand new 2023 Jeep Wranglers for only $30,995 or $339 per month. New Rams starting at only $30,995 or new Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cabs $189 per month. Zero down can deliver. Get the price you want, the selection you need, and the VIP treatment you deserve. Jeff D'Ambrosio. Destination Downingtown Big Finish Sales Event.
Did you know taxes could be your biggest expense during retirement? Are most of your assets in tax-deferred accounts like IRAs and 401ks? Taxes are historically low today, but we're facing significant headwinds in the future. Do you have a plan? The Thrive Financial Team has more than 100 years of experience helping people across the Delaware Valley with forward-looking tax planning. Learn how to shift your money from forever tax to no or low tax accounts. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
My name is Fran Salerno, and I'm a managing director here at Del Valle Insurance Group. Been in the business for over 36 years, saving people money on their insurance needs. Give us a call. Let us help you custom design an insurance plan that meets both your needs and budget.
All right, it's the Lehocky Eagles postgame show with the gang. Happy New Year to everybody, but it wasn't a very happy New Year for Eagle fans as the Eagles lose 20-10. It's time to go over our drive of the game presented by the Jeff D'Ambrosio Auto Group. Go to jeffauto.com, grab a new car deal tomorrow, meet the great owner of the dealership. He is Jeff D'Ambrosio, really good guy. Fellas, our drive of the game, I don't know, you can go with the Eagles if you want. I'll take it last because I know what drive you're going to come up with. There's really one drive of note in this whole game. So we'll start with D Gun. D?
Does it have to be an Eagles drive, first of all?
It's not.
Okay.
And I wouldn't expect it to be.
Okay. So with that said, you have to know where I'm going. The Saints come out in Lincoln Financial Field. First drive of the game, a very average offense at best. 15 plays, 75 yards, 8 minutes and 58 seconds, 6 wildcat runs on that opening drive, and punch it in the Eagles' mouth on the opening drive against this Eagles defense. To me, that was a tone setter. That was my drive of the game.
Seth, can you disagree with that?
There's no need of disagreeing. I may even give the Saints my damn game ball by the time we done.
Yeah, I mean, there's no other answer. They 15 plays, eat up 9 minutes. They converted 3 first downs and 1 fourth down in that drive, and I don't know what to say. I was bewildered by it as well. So Seth, you're going to agree with that as the drive of the game?
No doubt about it. He took.
All right. Well, then let me give a token appreciation to the one Eagles drive, which really wasn't a drive because it was a bomb for a touchdown. Well,
why? Really? Just cut him off. Just cut him off for this segment, Xander.
Well,
hello, I can't hear you. Hello.
Just to be different, okay? Because Minshew did complete 3 passes on this drive, right? That was the drive that got him a touchdown. First down at the
Is that the new standard?
4.
Is that the gold standard?
He threw it short right to Devontae for 12, right? That was the first play. And then he comes back in a shotgun and he goes short left to Devontae for 6.
Oh, man.
so he completes 2 in a row, and then comes the big play to A.J. Brown, which was played poorly by that cornerback, by the way. But if there was an Eagle drive of the game, it would be that, because they went 96. All right?
Mike, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Do you believe what you just said?
No. Of course not. I'm trying to add some balance. I gave you first serve. You got the only drive of the game, which was the 15 play by New Orleans.
It can be unanimous.
We're going to throw a bone to the Eagles, and they did go 96 on that drive, right? So
I'm not giving the Eagles a drive of the game. They scored 10 points against the Saints at home in a game they knew they needed to clinch the number 1 seed. 10 points against the Saints.
All right, let's put it this way. If somebody had me tied up with a gun to my head saying, you got to come up with an Eagles drive of the game, that's the answer I would give. Okay, is that good enough?
Oh, my goodness. I can't do it.
All right, so now we're going to segue into the all-important game balls.
Oh, geez.
Now, this segment has been created from hell, right? Not only we have a drive of the game we can't come up with, we can't give anybody a game ball either, but I'm going to let you guys have at it again. Seth, I'll go to you first.
I'm giving my game ball to Brandon Graham. I called it in the pregame. He needed 1 sack to get to double digits for the first time in his career. And I said in the pregame that he'd have 2. He actually had 3, but there was a penalty, and they took 1 away from him. I want to congratulate him. I want to, not necessarily apologize, but I got to kind of eat my words, because it was years ago that I said that Brandon would never be a double-digit guy. He's gotten close quite a few times. I didn't say it because I did not want him to do it. I just, that was my opinion at the time. He proved me wrong. So my game ball goes to him. Congratulations on double-digit sacks for the first time in your career in year 13.
Yep.
I can't argue with that. If I had a game ball to give, we don't have him physically here, but I would give a game ball to Brandon Graham as well. I mean, you can't give it to anybody offensively. he's really the candidate that you have to zero in on. So, yeah, congratulations, Brandon Gray. It is pretty amazing that he had double-digit sacks for the first time in his career after a great career as an Eagle.
I'm going to go off the rail. I agree with Seth 100%. Brandon's my boy. I'm going to go completely off the rail here, and I'm giving it to Josiah Scott because until he picked off that pass, Andy Dalton was 13 for 13. So he broke up Andy Dalton's consecutive completion streak. So I'm going to give it to Josiah Scott because he got ripped apart last week for his inept play down in Dallas. He came back. He got the only turnover of the game for this defense. I'm going with just Josiah Scott.
You just hammered me for giving the Eagles a drive in the game. You come up with Josiah Scott?
I did it for effect. I did it for effect to see what you say.
All right, Josiah, congratulations.
What?
I will say this. Josiah Scott, to your point in the pregame, you said he usually plays better when he knows he's going to be starting opposed to having to come in. He had an interception.
Yep.
He had 4 total tackles today, 3 solos, and he wasn't really victimized much at all today. So I kind of get the sense that I don't like to beat players up. Although you have to do it if you're going to be truthful, and it is what it is.
Yeah.
But he played much better today.
Yeah, he
And I
did.
tell you what, the New Orleans Saints, when they could get that matchup with him on Chris Olave today, they tried to take advantage of it.
Right.
He played a lot better today than he did last week and in previous games.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let me also add that I thought Hargrave played really well today. I think Hargrave was really active in there. He got a sack, but he really clogged some things up. But my counterpoint to that is, Sue and Linval Joseph have kind of tailed off, and Jordan Davis really is not making a lot of plays either. Are you guys worried about that part where we thought the rotation was pretty stout, that maybe not? I mean, I saw Hargrave and Cox play a lot of snaps today.
Well, I think that sometimes I get the point. I get the sense that when I look at this defense, I'm always left wondering what the hell are they trying to do from a schematic standpoint. We all know that Jonathan Gannon says he doesn't have a scheme. He has a philosophy. But when you're talking about your front seven, there has to be a scheme in place to be able to stop the run. Sometimes I can see some rhyme and reason to what they do. Other times I'm not so sure. Like I said, when they line up in their 5-man line, a lot of times, listen, you can run an over and under front. In the actuality, what you're actually running, is a 4-3 front with the Sam linebacker being, Hassan Reddick, and you rush him and drop the guy on the other side, or you rush 5, which really turns into, a Sam blitz, but in the run game, where guys line up, schematically, and then where the linebackers line up schematically, sometimes I'm just like left scratching my head because sometimes they're not in the most prudent positions to be able to stop some of the runs that you see. Sometimes, you got defensive ends that are lined up, especially when they go 4-man, they'll line up head up on the offensive tackle, or you see these guys lining up with the wrong foot up. Brandon happened to Brandon today, on a play where they started inside and bounced it out because he had his feet lined wrong. He wound up having to step in the bucket. By the time you step in the bucket, it's too late to come out of it. So my biggest concern is, giving these guys some hardcore, solid fundamental responsibilities. And okay, this is your gap. This is your gap. So when I look at these guys, I'm not so sure sometimes that they understand. Like I seen Sue. It seems like he's a half a step slow to get into some of these sacks. There's like 3 or 4 sacks this year since he's been here that I think he could have been a party to or got a piece of. He's still sitting on that half a sack that first game that he and Linval Joseph actually split that first sack. But he's right there. I think that he's a force. I don't know that they play him enough. I don't know if they give him enough reps to really be, as dominant as they can be, as he could be, I should say. So I don't know. But, I mean, the defense is still Listen, they are ranked 18th versus the run coming into today's game. They'll probably stay right around there, 120 to 125, yards per game. I don't think it's the thing that Jonathan Gannon or this staff really is concerned with. But I think the closer you get to the playoffs and as you get deeper into the playoffs, that, those numbers become more of an issue than what they are right now. Everyone wants to look at where they are and where they rank, defensively against the pass. Yeah, they came into this game today. They were ranked number 1 at 181 yards per game. Yeah, that's all fine and dandy. But did they really get beat, in the pass game so much more than they got beat in the run game today?
Mm-hmm. All right. By the way, the game balls that we unanimously gave to Brandon Graham, and who'd you give it to, Seth? No, Derek Gunn. Yeah,
Josiah Scott.
Josiah Scott. But in any event, the game ball.
Hey, don't laugh. You heard Seth's stats. Don't laugh. Scott had a good game today, man.
The game ball to Josiah Scott was proudly presented by Colony Pools. Get yourself a signed game ball. That's right. You can get your own signed game ball. Just go right now to flywithcolony, COLONY.com. Let Colony Pools take care of your pool. Flywithcolonypools.com. On the other side, we have some injury updates and some injury information to discuss from Dr. Bruce Grosinger, our resident sports doc. He'll join us after this on the Pond Lehocky Eagles postgame show. Don't go away.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Post-game show with Seth Joyner.
I knew that they had a running game.
Derek Gunn.
He has put in the effort.
Devin Caney.
Had we not won the Super Bowl, what would we be saying?
And Mike Missinelli.
Well, you know who Philly is.
Post-game, now streaming on the 6ABC family of apps.
Philadelphia fans, we're cut from a different cloth. Born into a brotherhood and bonded to our team for life. We believe anything is possible because we've witnessed the impossible. While we may be from different neighborhoods, come Sunday, we are one, and we will be heard. Pond Lehocky, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Since 1977 at Rafferty Subaru, we have always been about our customers and the community. Early on, a safe and durable option, we've evolved to become the best overall brand according to Kelley Blue Book. Over the last 14 years, we've donated thousands of dollars through the Subaru Share the Love event and found homes for hundreds of pets. The Rafferty family is proud of our 45 years in business. This month, celebrate our anniversary with special financing on select models. Visit us and see why.
Continue your communication sciences and disorders education at South University within the Doctor of Audiology or Masters of Science in Speech-Language Pathology programs. With state-of-the-art labs, on-campus clinics, and extensive externship opportunities, students position themselves to be at the top of the job market. Stand out in the audiology and speech-language pathology profession by visiting salis.edu.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at Dry Tech.
At DryTech, we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Yes, it is the Lehocky Eagles postgame show. You're watching us on 6abc.com and also the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel. Thanks for hanging with us on a New Year's Day as the Eagles lose today 20-10. A very unexpected result, but next week they can still clinch that number 1 seed. There'll be all kinds of discussions on what that game's going to be like, and we'll talk about that just before we let you guys go today. But let's talk some injuries, and let's bring in our sports doc, Dr. Bruce Grossinger, joins us. Hello, Doc. Happy New Year to you. First of all, I got to talk about the Jalen injury because it's obviously the most important on what's going to happen next week. Talk us through what he has, how long it's logistically able to heal, and whether he could be ready for next week. And do you expect that joint to have healed by next week?
Yes, it's clear, and John McMullen was very helpful in amplifying that he has a grade 2, a moderate strain of the sternoclavicular joint. It's not totally displaced, and as Seth mentioned, he was able to play well in the second half, and he threw 2 30-yard balls. So because of that, I think they kept him out using an abundance of caution, as they tend to do. I believe that with therapy in another week, he will play next week. It's a very meaningful game against the Giants, but it was their decision to not play him. And I think John pointed out how they were kind of trotting him out like a show pony just so the Saints would prepare for him.
Hey, so Doc. You're okay. As a doctor, you would be okay to say he's able to play the third weekend.
I want to make it clear. I give a little caveat here, or a disclaimer, that I haven't examined him. So I have to always mention that because I wouldn't want a viewer to think that I know directly. Without examining him, I am speculating. But if we presume he has full range of motion, his pain is under control, and he's able to throw medium, range, 10 to 20 yard throws, not necessarily 60 yards, I would definitely clear him to play for next week. It's a very meaningful game.
Hey, Doc, I want to ask you about this Lane Johnson injury because he irritates it one game, does further damage on this abductor injury the next game, and now we're at a point where he's out until the playoffs and might be out a little bit beyond that. What are we talking about in terms of exactly what this injury is? And we know that everybody heals differently, but for a guy who plays the position that he does, what kind of legitimate time frame are we talking about here?
Well, he has what I would call sports hernia. They haven't used that word, but they talked about a core muscle injury. Right. So it's really an injury to the rectus abdominis muscle and the oblique, and it's unilateral. It's more to one side. So it's really about pain control, and he's wearing a brace right now. I believe that he already has that hernia that will require repair, and he is a very tough guy. So they're going to keep him out to the playoffs about 3 or 4 weeks, depending on what seed they have. But after the season, he's going to get a full repair, and I expect a full recovery for Lane Johnson.
Okay.
Doc, tell us if anything, you've heard anything about Josh Sweat. It looked like to me he probably had a little stinger in the neck. They took him to the hospital, had to cart him off. Looked more like it was more precautionary than anything, the way that he was, kind of banging his hands on the ground as he laid on the ground. So it was pretty obvious that he had motion. But he goes to the hospital. From what we understand, he's been released. Any news on whether that's actual, concussion type deal or a neck injury, and what's the prognosis for him being available next week?
That's a great question. In fact, the fact that you just told me he was released from the hospital tells me a lot, Seth. I'm sure he had X-rays. That's the first thing you do. You immobilize the spine. They did a great job. Even the way the cart was moving slowly, they did a beautiful job. And they didn't put him in the locker room for a cross-table lateral and AP. They sent him right to the hospital. That's state of the art. Presumably, he had an MRI. If you recall, Matthew Stafford in December, last month actually, he's out with a spinal cord contusion. So Stafford had normal X-rays, but on his MRI, there was bright signal in his spinal cord. So that means there was bruising and bleeding in the spinal cord. Stafford is going to have a full recovery. But if that was the case, we could presume there's no way they would have let him leave. We still don't know whether he had a concussion. I watched the play over and over again, and I saw that it was really a high-velocity hit on the fullback, and it was head and neck. And at the very end there, his own guy kind of, was trying to tackle. There was also an impact to his neck from his own guy, number 72, one of the defensive tackles. So he laid on the ground for a few seconds. If you recall, they kept him on the ground for a long time. So why was he motionless? Could have been a stinger, which is really a shock to the neck, which is transient and benign, Seth, or it could have been a concussion, really. So we still don't know whether there's a concussion in play or whether this was a contusion, concussion of the spinal cord. So the fact he's discharged, we presume there's no bleeding of the spinal cord, no fracture, no need to further immobilize or put him in a halo. But beyond that, I think we're going to watch closely to see whether they put him in a concussion protocol.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Bruce, just a follow-up on Lane. He obviously needs surgery, and to me, that means that he can't possibly be 100% when he does play again in the playoffs. As an offensive lineman, you need that core strength. How much do you think that affects him as a player?
Well, we think of the rectus. There are three different layers. It gets boring if we get into anatomy, but luckily there's three different layers. So there's three shells of protection. He's also going to wear a really good brace. So I believe he's going to, if he had an unstable hernia or his bowel was protruding, they would send him to surgery. They wouldn't play around with it. So I believe he'll be about 80 to 90%. That would be my approximation.
Okay. Dr. Bruce, helpful information. We appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out with us on New Year's Day. And Happy New Year to you and your family.
Happy New Year to you all. And
Happy New Year, Doc.
Good to see you.
Happy New Year, Doc.
All right, that's Dr. Bruce. Okay, so let's come down the home stretch here of the show and look ahead. Now, we've dissected this many different ways. Seth was uncomfortable with the John McMullen notion that maybe the Eagles would say, you know what, the Giants aren't going to play anybody of significance. We can rest Jalen Hurts for one more week, and Gardner Minshew would play. But I think all of us, would agree that Hurts has to play next week, if only to get back into the swing of things. So what do you expect the Eagles to face next week in that game? What kind of pressure will they be carrying with us? Can they get all these things straightened out that we saw were flaws this week?
Well, I'm of the opinion that the Giants are going to come in and play football. Daniel Jones, they're still trying to figure out whether he could be the guy. They may have already made a decision, as far as that's concerned. They're a young team that's been losing for the last, I don't know how many years, with a new head coach, with a new mantra, with a new way of going about things. And they've got an aggressive-minded defensive coordinator that blitzes more than any other defensive coordinator in the National Football League. They haven't had a whole bunch of rhythm, the last 5 or 6 games. I think this is probably the first game that they've won in about 4 or 5 games. So I look at them to try to build upon that rhythm and continue to, get to where they need to so that they can not only make the playoffs, which they've already secured, but be able to make some noise once they get there. If it's one of those situations where, they get a good draw, they want to be able to win the football game if they can do that. So I don't envision them coming in here laying down, and the Eagles had better get their mindset right about what they have to do, because it's a big major difference between being the number 1 seed and the division champion and getting the first week off and getting your starters and everybody who needs it, 2 weeks of pure rest, opposed to it being one of those situations where, now all of a sudden you drop all the way down to the 5 seed. We got to hear all this crap from the Cowboy fans because now they just won the darn division, and you go on the road for the entire playoffs instead of having everything come to you. This is big, and it's big enough for me to say that, Gardner Minshew can't be the guy given the pressure that he succumbed to today. You have to get Jalen Hurts back out on the field, even if you have to call plays in a manner that protects him from himself. You have to get him on the field because he's the linchpin for this offense, and he may be the linchpin for the rest of this team from a leadership standpoint.
I agree. Derek?
Let me go on record right now saying, to me, Brian Daboll gets my coach of the year. He took a 4-win team. He took basically the same nucleus without making any wholesale changes on that team and turned them into a 9-win team that secured a playoff spot today, number 1. Number 2, I fully expect Brian Daboll to give his first unit some run next week and Wink Martindale, because he's preparing them for what's to come beyond that week. This is a Giants team that nobody thought would be anywhere near talking about a playoff squad. Most teams will probably rest players. I don't think Daboll is of the mindset that you guys have earned the right to have time off because we still have a lot to prove. Plus, don't forget the fact, as I mentioned and as Seth mentioned on this show, this team put up 48 points on you in your backyard. They embarrassed you like nobody else did this season. We have something to prove. Now, to what degree they're going to play their regulars, I don't know. But I fully expect to come out and have them swing away against this Eagles team, and I expect them to give an Eagles team a much better game than they gave them that first time.
All right, so Derek Gunn is starting Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
Hey, let me ask you a question, Mike.
Yes, sir.
When the New York Giants coaching staff looks at this New Orleans Saints Philadelphia Eagle game film, and then the players come in on Wednesday morning and they look at the same game film, what do you think the thought is going to be?
For who, the Giants?
Yeah.
Well, I think the Giants think that they can follow kind of a similar plan and win the game. But again, does it matter that they win the game?
Sure, it matters.
Yeah.
Listen, as a football player in my day, you only got 16 of them. Today, you only got 17 of them. Okay. And yeah, you might be in the playoffs, but at the end of the day, what do you have to do? You have to set the precedent because, again, what did I say? And I say it again. I've been saying it, as long as I've been in this whole media world. Okay. What I do know is that how you play from week to week is a precursor to how you will play next week. Okay. The Eagles have played terribly the last 2 weeks. Okay. So they got to figure out how to right the ship, especially going into the playoffs. Everybody's talking, one and done. Okay. Yeah. Will they have to make some adjustments? Absolutely. Why? Because they're missing, so many pieces that matter. But this is the same team that won 13 games before they lost one. Are they that bad because they lost to 2 teams that they shouldn't have because their quarterback was out? Are they that bad that all of a sudden we're going to say, they're incapable of making any noise in the playoffs because, they lost 2 games in a row? Let's not take away from what Jalen Hurts and this offense has accomplished and what he can accomplish when he's on the field. And you put that with this defense and the way that they're playing, at times, if Jonathan Gannon can get out of his own way and allow the great players that he has on this defense just to be who they are and play the way that they play, I think that this team is still that team that can get it done.
I think it's important that the Eagles win next week with their first team and Jalen Hurts playing. So I'm agreeing with you. I'm just thinking that the Giants may not look at it that way. We see many teams that side on the side of keeping your players healthy rather than winning a game that they don't really have to win. That said, I think they will play the first half, and then Dave will plan it accordingly by getting the key starters out of there. That's what I think.
I'll tell you this: if this this Giant staff was one of these new age coaches, like these young coaches that come in 30-somethings that are hell bent on emotional intelligence and all that kind of stuff, I might agree with you. Okay, Brian Daboll's been coaching a long time. Wink Martindale's been coaching a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Their mindset ain't that. Their mindset is to build.
That'll make it a better game.
Huh?
I like it. That'll make it a better game. So that will play. That's the last thing we do before we get out of here. Let's play guess the line, because there is no line posted right now for obvious reasons. They don't know about Jalen Hurts, whether he's going to play. They don't know what the Giants' mindset. They may announce that they're only going to play starters for whatever. So there's no line and probably won't come out to the midweek. So you guys set the line. Jalen Hurts plays for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Giants, you don't know whether they're going to play all their starters for an entire game. Set a line on those parameters.
I will say the initial line, because of all the uncertainties, will be set at like 2.5 in favor of the Eagles. When it's officially announced that Jalen Hurts is playing, that line will jump up to 7 easily.
Okay. All right. Seth?
I would say that the line before it's announced whether Jalen Hurts is playing, I think it's a pick 'em. I think the Eagles have looked that bad the last 2 weeks, especially from a turnover standpoint. So, the thought is, until it's Gardner Minshew. What has Gardner Minshew done? He's ramped up the amount of turnovers that this team has produced over the last 2 games, and I just get the sense that, the line is going to come out flat, even though the Eagles are at home. Normally, that line is, -3 for the home team, all things being equal. But if Gardner Minshew and the way that he played and the way that Vegas is looking at this line, I say they come out and they say, okay, this is a pick 'em. Minshew stinks. Okay. By the time we find out that Jalen Hurts is playing, then the Eagles will get the obligatory, -3 for being the home team. And I think, it will oscillate right around there up until game time.
All right. We'll see what happens. It's going to be a big week of discussion. The Philadelphia Eagles, if they lose this game today, the Saints 20-10, result that we didn't think was going to happen, but it did. And now it comes down to the last game as to whether the number 1 seed or not. Happy New Year to everybody. Thanks for hanging with us on New Year's Day. Happy New Year to you, Seth. Happy New Year to you, Derek. We'll see you next week, right? Okay.
In person.
The Lehocky Eagles postgame show. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. We will see you next week. Monster postgame show next week. We'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.
At Pond Lehocky, we've recovered billions of dollars for our clients, and we're confident we can do the same for you. With over 250 years of combined courtroom experience, we've helped over 100,000 injured clients obtain some of the largest settlements in Pennsylvania. One conversation is all it takes to help you and your family get back on track. If you've been injured in an accident, give Pond Lehocky a call.
Weather forecasting is a team game.
We rely on each other every day, updating the models and passing along new critical information.
We have a team of 5 experienced meteorologists and a specialized weather producer, Paul. Say hi, Paul.
Sometimes what I see in the model, Cecily could see something different.
That's when we come together as a team to make our most accurate prediction.
And all of this backed by more than 100 AccuWeather scientists. It's a team game.
And we have the best team in town.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Up, and go Birds.
We all know that taxes are just part of life. It's true during our working years, but also in retirement. But what you might not know is up to 85% of your Social Security benefits might be taxed. Our team at Thrive Financial has helped retire thousands of people across the Delaware Valley by asking questions they never knew they needed to ask, including how their Social Security benefits might be taxed. It's time to be proactive on taxes. Get your Thrive Retirement Tax Playbook today.
Celebrating the life of your loved one is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. When the matriarch of the Dalloway family died suddenly at 82 years old, Life Celebrations by Givenish stepped in.
They will make this the easiest thing that I know it's not easy, but they will make this as easy as possible.
Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
I just know that my dad, who is in charge of everything, was not in charge of anything at that point when my mom passed. And again, just another shout out to this place for making it easy.
Turning tragedy into a celebration of life, no matter how hard, is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
Since 1977 at Rafferty Subaru, we have always been about our customers and the community. Early on, a safe and durable option, we've evolved to become the best overall brand according to Kelley Blue Book. Over the last 14 years, we've donated thousands of dollars through the Subaru Share the Love event and found homes for hundreds of pets. The Rafferty family is proud of our 45 years in business. This month, celebrate our anniversary with special financing on select models. Visit us and see why.